Sustainable continuous improvement means engagement at all levels in the organisation, and building those competencies into the people of the organisation. And it also means it's end-to-end supply chain, so that you're actually creating competitive capability.
A sustainable continuous improvement initiative has a number of characteristics. If we say, what does it look like? Firstly, it always starts with the customer. And it doesn't even just start with the customer, it starts and ends with the customer. It has the customer all the way through middle and to end. It takes an understanding of those customer needs and it backflushes them through the organization, through all of the processes from external customer back in, and creates customer-supplier relationships at every interface back through the organization. And it understands customer needs and translates those into practices and behaviors that are required to fulfill that need. It also understands process. So what current process, what is the nature of our current process? So again, from a manufacturing perspective, but this applies equally to banks, building societies, airlines, anything. What is the fundamental nature of this process, and what is this process capable of excelling at? And I don't mean the top level superficial kind of process or business systems that we put in. I'm talking about, are we an assembly process? Are we a job shop? Are we a continuous process? We need to understand those things. If we're a continuous batch manufacturing process, we have stainless steel on the ground, whatever it happens to be. We can't be highly flexible like a tiny job shop can be, but we need to say what's critical here is equipment availability and material yield, for example. We have to be good at those no matter what client we're serving. So it's an outside-in approach, understanding the customer, translating that into what we would call key operational success factors. What do I have to be good at? Then understanding those and translating those back into practices that says, well, if I have to be good at equipment uptime or material yield, what are the things that drive that in my business? And understand that within a local domain in great detail. Once we understand that in great detail, what leading organizations would then do is they would standardize that stuff in terms of the current best known way. What is the current best way we know how to do this particular thing? Change this filter, develop team leaders, train the shop floor, whatever it happens to be. Define the best way of doing that and do that consistently across all shifts, across all departments, across all factories, across all national cultures, languages, and so forth. To do that, we need to define standard work. Standard work's a peculiar but the most powerful force in continuous improvement, because without it, we have no base to improve from. And it becomes the basis for nurturing and growth and coaching of people through the organization. Because if we can say, this is how we do things, and I as a team leader walk past an operation and see someone not following that standard, I'm able to intervene in the moment. And that's leading in the moment, leadership in the moment. What's happening? What's going wrong? Can I help you? What don't you understand? Do you need a training course? Have we trained you adequately? All of these are things we need to understand if we're going to build this business system that I spoke about earlier. So it's highly standardized. Once we've standardized it, another key issue is making it visual, making that standard visual so it's easy for people to follow and it's easy for others to check. And they're checking not in a policing way, but in a nurturing and coaching way, in a very transparent, supportive environment. So that you've got now standards, you've got standards made visual, and you've got a process of management checking. Let's call it leader standard work, where the leaders come around on a routine basis to interface with the operation, looking for moments of coaching to teach the system. So it starts redefining management's role. Management's role is not to troubleshoot. It should not. If we've got a good, growing, healthy system, troubles should be taken care of, or departures from standards should be taken care of at the lowest possible level. Management's role then becomes to check the system health. Look for areas where the system is breaking down. And if it's not breaking down, well, then it probably means the system is too robust. Now, that may sound absurd, but perhaps it's over-engineered, and we need to thin it down so that it breaks. And at the point of breakage, we can then put a more innovative solution in place. So it completely turns on its head the role of management. So what do these things have in common? Understanding the customer, backflashing to saying, what do we have to be good at? Underpinning that with knowledge about what are the best practices we need to implement, defining those in great detail, greater and greater and greater detail as we get better and better, and then putting visual controls in place. Once we've got the visual controls in place, putting in a check process, a nurturing check process, which we call leader standard work, and redefining the role of management to go in and support the process and to own the systems and to continually build systems.
I may have many different geographies. I may have many different manufacturing sites and they've all got different cultures. Well, as I'm going through performance improvement, culture has a huge impact on the way I improve performance and the culture of performance improvement. We all know that the legendary Toyota production systems and the DuPont production systems, these are companies that have built continuous improvement into their DNA. And they've built it into their DNA because they have built the capacity. It's people, process, and technology, not just technology. So culture is important because I got to work out what are the priorities in a marketplace where I might have a culture of strong collaboration. I might have a European culture that is very telling. Well, collaboration looks different. And so therefore, if I'm going to build a continuous improvement culture across my end-to-end supply chain, all aspects of the business in all geographies, I need to understand the cultural differences because they're all going to go different speeds. They're looking at leadership to play different roles, and they will also be focusing on different priorities based on their market requirements.